Good morning, people of the internet. You're listening to Debi Radio 79.5 FM, a podcast where we discuss the movie Grosse Pointe Blank 1 minute at a time. I am Dev.
And I'm Hugh, and on today's show we're looking at minute 99, appropriate for the soundtrack. In this time, it's Fight in the Kitchen time.
And joining us back again, we have David Brooke of Blueprint Review and DCB Productions. Welcome back, David.
Hello. Glad to be back. 99.
Yeah, we are full in the action now. We kick off this minute with Martin taking out the I think another of the Stasi guys as he's running into the kitchen with a combination of bullet holes and frying pan that's a little
pure Looney Tunes.
It really is. I mean, the Foley team must have had a fun time with those sound effects. It's a really resonant frying pan that you've got there. We've got declarations of love coming from Martin left, right, and center as he gets them back upstairs with his case of toys, and then he takes out Mr. Beret that we've already mentioned, who is trying to sneak in the back door just as they're going up the stairs.
So, for a film that's done action tropes in various ways, kitchen fight is interesting because you get a couple of classic things. We talked last episode about the fridge door being used as a protection, but then we also have the way he hides behind the central table before this guy gets in, the way he shoots from low down. That shot, or that level of shooting, has actually became fairly iconic after Luc Besson's La Femme Nikita.
Oh, yeah. Where
she's seen, there's a famous sort of kitchen fight in that, and I remember seeing that in the cinema in France on its initial run, and one of the things that struck my friends as well who saw the film was that he borrows a couple of ideas from Hong Kong films for that scene, but one of the things that is all him is the idea of how, because she's not used to being in gunfights, she's trained but not used to it, the way she's staying low down both for protection, but then the more scared she gets, the more low she gets. And what I like is they flip that on its head here, whereby Martin is positioning himself perfectly to be to have the most minimal silhouette. The majority of him is protected by that table, but he has ample, clear view of the guy when he comes in the door. And it's again, it's one of those things that this film is doing so well. After all the build up to this, there's still a sense of professionalism, a sense of realism in an otherwise fantastical fight sequence.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the frying pan, despite the sound effects.
Yes, and that impromptu weapon is another, characteristic element of kitchen fight sequences.
Yeah.
And the frying pan just fits it perfectly.
And I think it's a sensible move to kind of do the actual kind of killing off shot on this one, the actual final blows, because obviously Mini Driver's come in and doesn't want to look too sadistic in front of her, although he obviously does. But
I mean, it's interesting.
It's getting that balance.
It's a choice. It's clearly a directorial. Well, it's clearly a choice generally from everyone involved in the production, because of course we saw the close up in the school of Felix Lapoubelle's neck, right? Because we needed Debi to see that.
Yeah.
We don't want. They don't, as an audience, that's it. Like, that's all we want to do for the audience. Like, we need you to be on Martin's side now. So we're not going to show you what she can clearly see.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need her to come around a little bit on him.
Except he's not making it easy.
No. At least he's saving her dad and her, I guess, for now. But
I mean, I'm trying to remember American thrillers before this, right? So this is 97. And I'm just trying to remember, because you often had, some sort of romance, badly done romance buried into those films, right? There's usually a scene where the good guy has to save the love interest or what have you. And I'm trying to remember a time where they were so clear about the distaste of the civilians I'm trying to remember it. Like normally they're just like, oh yeah, run, oh you screech. I mean, Kate Capshaw in the second Indies is like a fairly obvious example, but that was played completely for laughs. You know, by all accounts, Spielberg enjoyed torturing her, and then they obviously ended up marrying her. So I guess it worked for them. But it's not a thing, right? Like I'm just struggling to think of another example of that sort of thing. This film handles it, you know. This is where the rom-com element is there. You know, again, they would normally be shocked at seeing something else, like, oh, I've kissed the wrong person. Oh, look, I'm really sorry. I'm in love with you. But instead he's beating someone to death with a frying pan. It's odd. It's a little odd in that sense. I'm just trying to get my head around it.
You get a nice little rattle sound as it falls on the floor as well. Just on that silent moment after they see it as well. It's a nice little touch, something like that. It just works.
It is a bit, isn't it? And then there's that little spray of blood on his face he wipes off afterwards. Yeah. Debbie, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, perfectly timed and wipes it off in a bit. Perfectly
like,
timed off the line, yeah. It's just this film in a nutshell. This is one that actually kind of one of my kind of an iconic kind of moment from it, really.
Very much so. It is one of those things when you think about, if you know the film, when you remember it, you kind of go, that was one of those key moments, right?
Was it in the trailer? I can't remember. It might be given too much away, but I don't know.
The trailer for it originally before you.
Probably originally, but I can't remember.
I don't think I did. I think weirdly I just saw it. I don't know.
I might have seen it just from word of mouth. The reviews are quite good, but
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm wondering how widespread the trailer was,
Mm.
because I mean, it would have been presumably only in cinemas in front of other films. I don't think it would have been broadcast on TV, certainly not in the UK.
No.
I'm wondering, like, I mean, I know I've seen the trailer, but I feel like I've seen the trailer from the lead of VHS films, which would have been after it had already been released. So
it's a weird one, isn't it?
May have seen the film before I ever saw the trailer.
I mean, famously, the film didn't do that well, did it? In the cinema?
No,
I mean,
it did play in cinemas though, so there would have been some cinema trailers on there. I can't remember; it's way too long ago for me. But because I did see it in the cinema, I think I mentioned on when I was first on. But yeah,
you're one of the few people on this podcast with us who has. I mean, you know, it is definitely an age thing, but it is also the fact that it didn't play as many places elsewhere.
No, yeah.
So there is that. Do you know what? It's one of those things where I don't know. I struggle now to imagine how they sold this.
Yeah, it is an odd one. Yeah.
Like.
Although, I guess you've just got to go all out and just lay it out there. This is what it is, and if you've got the right frame of mind, you've got the right taste in humor, then go for it. But I don't know. A lot of marketing people don't like that. They want to pigeonhole things. So I'm not sure. I should have rewatched the trailer before this, really, but it only just came to me now, really. So yeah,
maybe we can watch it tonight and speak to it on tomorrow's episode.
Not a bad idea. Yeah,
sounds good.
Got to try and find the original trailer if we can, but
that's going to be the problem.
That'd be easier said than done. Yeah, I guess you probably get a VHS trailer on YouTube or something, but I guess you never quite know what was on the cinema. the chances of there being a cinema, like, so pretty slim probably.
There is a guy on YouTube who does his own scans of like trailer reels that he's picked up on eBay or what have you, and posts them up. Usually like really flat, basic. Doesn't do any remixing, and it's quite nice. I mean, there's it's just one of those things where you kind of remind you what it was like at the time.
Yeah, I do like a good trailer. Weirdly, I have a funny thing about, like, I've realised, because obviously I review physical media, review Blu-rays and things like that. But I must admit, I hardly ever watch the trailer when I review a disc. I don't know why. I just automatically skip it because there's so much other stuff. But at the same time, I've gone out and bought loads of those, the Driving Delirium and the
trailer compilations.
There's a martial arts ones, the trailer compilations. I really enjoy watching those. And the Agfa one that came out a bit ago. And I enjoy watching those. And plus, I have really fond memories of, I don't know if you remember these, in I think Empire Magazine is the one that used to do it. You used to get a VHS tape with the magazine that would have like an hour's worth of trailers on there for what was coming at the cinema in the next month or something. When those arrived, I was like, yeah, they were awesome. But for some reason, I guess for me, it's more because I've just watched the film or I'm about to watch the film. I have less interest in the trailer. But if it's something that I haven't watched or I have watched years ago, and that nostalgia hits when you watch an old trailer of it, it's a different experience. But when I have a Blu-ray and I'm watching the film, I rarely go for it, I probably should give it more of a go. I think because I do enjoy trailers, and I really enjoy editing trailers. I do editing myself, and I've just been working on one recently, and I forgot I do enjoy it. Yeah.
So I got to work with a wonderful editor when I worked at Network DVD, and she was just so good at what she did. She had a knack for things, and so I remember giving her a brief for before we did the Sweeney season 1 in HD, we did the pilot, right? We did Reagan, the pilot. And I remain convinced to this day that one of the reasons we missed out in Britain of all the film genres of the 70s, one of the key ones that we could have done that we missed out on was the Italian cop crime film. And we got a handful of examples, but nothing major. And I think that's because when you look at the Sweeney and you look at what Euston Films were doing, we were doing it on TV. We basically did it on TV. And so I said to her, look, here's the thing. I want to cut a trailer. I listed the shots and I listed the order and all this kind of thing. And I was like, what I want to cut this in a way that makes this feel like an Italian crime film. And she hadn't seen any. So she was the kind of person who went out and actually found a few of the trailers, watched them, and then came back and said, okay, here's an assembly. What do you think? And like 9 times out of 10, her assembly would be so close and it just need minor tweaks. But it was a lot of fun working on trailers and making them work. But like you, I've still got one particular Empire tape. I had a couple. I've kept one for one very good reason. Yeah. There is a trailer on there that I have not seen on any of the disc releases of the film it's for. Okay. Because in a weird twist of fate, or whatever it is, the one that's ended up on the disc is from, I can't remember if it's from America, or I think it's the American trailer, or it's from a British trailer, but whatever. I think it's the American trailer, and then the one I've got from the Empire tape is the European trailer, because there's a German dubbed version on YouTube. And it's for Ronin, funnily enough, which I mentioned in the previous episode. Yeah, they shot a specific trailer with scenes in it that are only for the trailer, that are not in the film.
Nice.
And it's got a special voiceover and a nice little bit of use of CG at the end to create the title. And I freaking love that trailer. I think it's for me, it's one of the great examples of how you do a trailer. Because it starts on, so it's all the actors from the film in Paris at night, out on the cobblestones. And what happens is there's a voiceover saying, basically filling you in the background of the plot. And you see each of these people walking down at night, and they spot one of the other ones, and that person joins them, and then it's 2 of them walking to camera.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, you probably will have seen it, right?
I will have had those tapes. I always got those tapes,
exactly. And I can't find that one anywhere. Like even on the recent Arrow edition of the film, this is just nowhere to be found. And it's like, what happened? So weirdly, the only publicly accessible version of it, other than the German one on YouTube, is the Empire tape.
Keep your old tapes, guys. It's the way forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or digitize them. Please digitize them for us. Yeah. So yeah, no, you're right about that. It is one of those things. Trailers and marketing in the 90s in particular were great fun. Something to look forward to. And they still didn't quite give away everything. They were getting there. But I still can't remember how they did this film. It's just such an odd...
Yeah, we'll have to dig it out in between episodes.
Absolutely. So we have the shooting around the stairwell. That's another trope, isn't it? And in this case, it's the fact that there's 2 things that are interesting. It's the under the arm shot, which I think is quite sort of like a slightly Chow Yun-Fat-esque kind of Western style shot. And then
although this one doesn't really land, right? Like the thing with Chow Yun-Fat doing it is it always lands.
Of course. Yeah.
Whereas this is literally just suppression fire, and it does the job for that.
Exactly.
I think we also see here that this is clearly somebody's real home, and once again the budget is coming into play, because
Go on.
all of the squibs are going off in window frames and in like on the woodwork, and not on like in the walls where you'd actually expect the shots to land.
You do get one. I just literally paused it. You do get one just to the right of the window frame, in the close up of the window when they've run up the stairs. There is one on the wall. But but still, I think you could be right. Although that is that close up shot could be a studio kind of insert, something you never know.
Well, given he goes, I mean the when he shoots back, so just towards the end of this minute, when you get another cool kind of shot of when he fires through the railings, which is of the banister, which is very kind of like in Hong Kong, the guy would go down the stairs to do the shooting. He's just like, I'm up here, I got the vantage point, I'm going to shoot. But then when you see the way the bad guy goes back through the glass of the door, then it's one of those things we've talked about before, where presumably if it is a real house, well, then they open the actual doors and then just put the fake doors in for the stunt, because that was quite common back then as a way of doing that sort of stunt, rather than actually break real doors and real glass. You just put the whole thing into the frame. But the wall, it does make me wonder how they did that, if they put a layer of extra plaster with the squibs on it. Or maybe
it is a suspiciously closer shot. It does cut in closer than usual, so I do wonder if they've tried to replicate it.
I think you do see it in some of the longer shots afterwards. I think it is. Okay. I think.
Oh yeah, you do see the window, but I don't know.
No, also the wall. As Martin finally catches up with them in the bathroom, you see it. You can tell that it's done, but it doesn't look very deep. So I think Hugh might be right that it was an extra layer of plaster.
Well, what I'm wondering if they went even further. I'm looking at the angle of the corner, and I'm wondering if the entire window frame and wall area is entirely added on.
Oh, that could be, because
I could be wrong, right? But it looks to me like as you reach the top of the stairs is just that slightly little bit narrower on the corner than it should actually be.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like that. I mean,
sorry,
we could compare it to the outside architecture.
If we could do that, we'd tell. But but again, this is the stuff we don't notice until we're doing it minute by minute.
Yeah. Keep pausing in.
Yeah. I mean, I've loved this stuff since I was a kid. I love figuring out how they did stunts.
Martin's return fire here is also excessive. It feels like he's very understated in his taking out the first guy through the front door. 2 shots, bam, done. And then there's shots and frying pan and more shots and more frying pan to take out the second guy. And then the third guy, he empties 2 full clips of his Glocks into. When the guy's clearly already at least out of action, if not completely done for, much earlier in that point.
I guess maybe he's in a more vulnerable position there. I guess he's got some railings in front of him, but that's only kind of 50% or less of coverage. And
and then there's also the fact that he switched from the stopping power of the Eagle to the Glocks, and it's like he's not taking any chances. I've got 9mm, they're going to go through him. I'm just going to use them all. Total overkill. The essence of the 9mm in movie shootouts, right? It's got 50 minimum 14 or 15 rounds in the clip. Boom, off we go. Let's just use up a whole bunch of them.
And also, again, just going back slightly, is whilst all this is going on, you've got a continuation of the kind of profession of love and all this kind of stuff in there, which again is just I love it. I love how it's not given a separate scene, which might kind of put off some audience members. It throws it together with the action, and it's all in one crazy kind of.
It's so funny.
Yeah,
just so funny.
Well,
it just keeps coming and coming and coming and hitting and hitting and hitting. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I find, one of the other things is interesting is, of course, this is all the stuff that he should have been talking about to Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
Like he's held it pent up all this time, and now with the escalation of the violence and, as you said, the increased amount, and again, the increasing shots seem to match his actual mood. He's like getting angry and like it's all coming out. Like, oh, let me empty all of this. It's so funny.
He's under pressure. He's finally under more danger himself. Whereas I guess usually he's just lurking in the shadows. Bang, takes someone out and disappears. This is it's coming down on him. So he just wants to let it all out. He's ready to burst. It fits. It's nice.
There's not really any action films that quite do this, are there? Like even the more chatty neo-noirs of the 90s don't really have like these kind of massive comedic speech, like almost Shakespearean, right? Like I'm trying to think of one and I can't really think of one. It's either short and pithy post Die Hard style.
Yeah,
no dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, there are some. I think maybe you could kind of say like some of the Guy Ritchie films and things like that, where there's more dialogue going on in scenes like these. But I don't think it works as quite as effectively, and I think this has although there aren't any heavy going emotional scenes, you do feel for the relationship. The relationship is important. It's not just kind of, I guess, in Guy Ritchie and stuff like that, it's more banter or something like that. It's just there to make the action scenes fun.
And he also has a tendency of like just pulling back from the dialogue in specific climactic action moments.
I mean,
like there's
maybe
in The Gentleman he does that. Yeah, Fight Club would be a good one. A good example.
But I think this plays to that thing that we've talked about a couple times, that this is a schoolboy fantasy, right? This is and all of this, it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue. It's him projecting his desires, his emotions into as to what this relationship is, as to what this relationship can be. There's absolutely no consideration for what Debbie wants in this entire situation. It's also not quite a sales pitch, because he's not really pitching anything. It's much more dictating.
Yeah, it's him finally being honest as well, I think, and just
yeah. But also, what kind of guy can only be honest in the middle of a gunfight? I know there's meant to be like truth in action, and I know all these ideas of this is where the real person comes out, but it is just too funny that this is what we're doing for romantic lead.
I mean, I think it's also weirdly his comfort zone, right? At this
point.
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely, it is. That's
I guess that's the big point. Kind of the point of the film. He's so out of place back in town, and especially back at the reunion. He's just it just doesn't fit in.
He's in his element.
All right. Well, I think we've got some additional homework for tonight, and we'll come back tomorrow with a trailer review thrown into the episode as a little extra feature, I guess.
Sounds good. Here we go. This was minute 99 of the Grosse Pointe Blank podcast, Debi Radio 79.5 FM, featuring your co-hosts, co-writers, and co-producers, Dev Soligar and myself, Hugh David.
Today's guest, as he has been all of this week, is David Brooke of Blueprint Review and DCB Productions. David, where can we find you?
Yeah, if you check out blueprintreview.co.uk, you'll find all my film reviews and such. And I will throw in, I don't usually plug my kind of work, but since I mentioned edits and trailers, if you check out dcbproductions.co.uk, you can see what I do for a living. So although I don't update it nearly enough, so it's not very up to date.
You can find us on all good podcast players, as well as YouTube, X, aka Twitter, and Spotify at Debi Radio, and our website, debiradio.com. For all of those, it is DEBI for Debi.
And finally, if you want to talk with us, come and find us at the Facebook listeners group, Debi Radio 79.5 FM Fan Club. One last time, that is DEBI Radio.
Sure was clear that all of this was new. Concentrating hard like a little girl, smoking for the first time. It wasn't a moment, it was a feeling of mood.